Thank you, Speaker. I rise to speak briefly on behalf of the Greens to this motion and acknowledge the member for bringing this public interest debate to the chamber today, and particularly want to thank the member for Port Macquarie for allowing us to have this debate and discussion, and recognise the fact that too often in these debates and discussions, and sadly as we saw yesterday in relation to the suspension and other things, it is not women's voices in this chamber that are heard leading this debate, and I acknowledge her work on that. I want to also acknowledge the Minister who's here for this debate and recognise the work and commitment that she has to driving this change. I think to pick up from where the member for Sydney left off and talking about Lou's place, I think that it's really important to recognise that while we might want to come in here and take a multi-partisan, cross-partisan, unified approach to how we address the issues of family and gender-based violence, it's absolutely critical for us to realise that often in doing so, we can attempt to erase what are the critiques and the challenges about what is not being done and what is not being sorted. And so while we absolutely can all come in here in complete unity and absolutely express our disgust and outrage at gender-based violence in our society and our community, it is important that we recognise that there is a role for us to play as political leaders and as representatives in our communities to push governments to ensure that they are doing every possible thing that they can to deliver the types of changes that we need to address this violence. And I wasn't going to contribute today, but I felt in listening to the debate upstairs, I was listening to the debate, and my big concern here is that we can point to the last 12 months or the previous 12 years, but the reality is that violence against women has been an ongoing challenge in our community for well longer than that. And while the media headlines at the moment are focused on it, and it's with much distress that I say that there has just been another report of a stabbing just outside of the electorate of Newtown in Alexandria of a woman who was attending a gym and has been attacked by a man known to her with a knife. She's currently, my understanding, has been taken to hospital. That the attention on these issues will ebb and flow. The problem is that we know the solution of how we solve them. It's not an issue where we don't know the solution, but no government has as yet been willing to deliver on what the services and what the experts are asking for. And we put this in context here today, and it's important to put it in context. And I note that Domestic Violence New South Wales put in a statement in response to the National Cabinet meeting, pointing out that a commitment by the federal government of an investment of $922 million over 5 years, in comparison to the $4 to $5 billion spent upgrading a fleet of 6 submarines, puts the value of women's life in perspective. When we look at the commitment of this New South Wales Labor government and their desire to note and to put forward their commitment to putting $230 million over 4 years as part of an emergency package, we have to put that in perspective to the annual expenditure of $120 billion of the New South Wales government each year. How critical are the lives of women when we are talking about small amounts, 5 million, 10 million, 100 million, when we're talking about 4 to 5 billion for 6 submarines at a federal level, and when we're talking about $120 billion of turnover annually in New South Wales. Now, we can all stand here, we can all lament the tragedy, we can all say that we feel horrified by what has occurred, and we all have our personal stories as to our experience of family and gender-based violence. But the reality is that money talks, and we are being told by the experts in the sector that if we deliver them this money that they require and we follow their requirements, we will eliminate gendered violence in our community. It is as simple as that. The choice of this New South Wales Labor government is whether or not they are going to prioritise women's lives, unlike any previous government before and actually deliver what the sector is asking for.